Hi everyone, my name is Myint Swe Khine. I'm currently teaching at Curtin University in Perth, Australia. I agree to participate in online journal club OJC Events to share my experience in conducting educational research. As I understand, journal clubs are educational meetings where individuals meet regularly to critically evaluate recent articles in the scientific literature. This activity can serve as a bridge between research and practice. Many academic training programs include a journal club. They have long been recognized as a means of keeping up to date with the literature and teaching critical appraisal skills. I believe that there are considerable advantages to participating in OJC. Those who participate in the event can learn and improve their educational research literacy, critical appraisal skill, and research methods, and also keep abreast with the new literature and improve their understanding of the current topics. In academic literature, you can find different types of papers. The original studies, it can be a quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods, or sometimes we call it empirical paper. The other type is review paper or theoretical paper. Meta-analysis, which is analysis of the analysis. This approach is common in medical research. Meta-analysis is a quantitative, formal study designed to systematically assess previous research studies to derive conclusions about their body of research. Scientific article reports the result of research. Therefore, it must follow a standardized structure of scientific manuscripts as set out in the IMRD model or IMRD format. That is, introduction, method, results, and discussion for the organization of the scientific article between the researchers. I stand for what problem or question was studied. You can find the answer in the introduction. M stand for how was the problem studied. You can find the answer in the methods. R, what were the results or findings? That you can find the answer in the results. And finally, D, what do these results mean? That is the discussion. So IMRD is a handy way to remember the names and orders of the major section of most academic manuscripts. The purpose of a literature review is to provide an overview of the existing research on a specific topic. It aims to identify and synthesize the key findings, arguments, and insight from existing studies and to evaluate their relevance, validity, and reliability. So in other words, literature review provides a context. Literature review have to contextualize the research by highlighting what has been done before and what questions still need to be addressed. Second, to identify the gaps in the knowledge. So a literature review can help identify gaps in the existing literature, highlighting areas where more research is needed. And also to evaluate previous research. Literature review helps to evaluate previous research in terms of its quality, validity, and relevance, to your research questions. And finally, to support the argument, a well-conducted literature review can help support your argument by providing evidence and context for your research questions. Reading a research paper can be a time-consuming and challenging task. But if you follow the following steps, you can make the process easier and more effective. That is, understand the title, skim the abstract, review the introduction, study the method section, examine the results, analyze the discussion, evaluate the conclusion, and finally, check the reference list. So I will go to detail one by one. Understanding the title is to find out what is the paper is trying to address. What is the paper all about? Skim the abstract. The abstract provides a summary of paper, including the purpose, methods, results, and conclusion. So by reading the abstract, you can quickly get a general idea of what the paper is about and determine if it is relevant to your research. Review the introduction. The introduction sets the stage for the rest of the paper by introducing the topic, explaining the background and context, and stating the research question or hypothesis. Read this section carefully to gain a deep understanding of the topic and research problem. Study the methods section. This section describes how the research was conducted, including the research design, sample size, data collection procedures, and statistical analysis methods. Understanding the method used in this research will help you to assess the validity and reliability of the results. Examine the results. The results section presents the finding of the research, often using tables, figures, and graphs to illustrate the data. Read this section critically to determine whether the results support the research question or hypothesis and if they are statistically significant. Analyze the discussion. The discussion section interprets the results and places them in context, including a consideration of the implication of the findings, limitation of the study, and direction for the future research. Read this section carefully to understand how the authors have interpreted and the results and how they consider to be the key takeaway from the study. Evaluate the conclusion. The conclusion provides a summary of the main findings and overall contribution of the research to the field. Read this section to ensure that you have a clear understanding of the author's conclusions and implication of the research for your own work. And finally, check the reference list. Take a look at the reference list to see sources that the author used to support this research. This list can provide you with additional resources for further study of the topic. I choose this paper, Validity and the Use of What is Happening in the Class, or WIHIC questionnaire in University Business Statistics classroom for this presentation. Those who are interested to explore psychosocial learning environment and how it affects attitudes toward learning and achievement use this type of instrument to conduct research. What is happening in this class or week questionnaire is one of the most commonly used instruments in learning environment research. From now on, I will refer simply as week questionnaire. I use databases like Progress, Scopus, and Web of Science to search for articles that use this particular questionnaire using the keywords learning environment and week. And I found 235 articles. This is one of the articles involved in this study. Generally, the abstract provides background, number of subjects involved in the studies, and the findings. So according to the authors, study used WIC questionnaire to measure environment in 12 university statistics classroom involving 375 students. So in the introduction of the paper, the authors present historical background of learning environment research. This introduction serves as a review of the literature, as well as mention about other instruments, survey or questionnaire developed to use in learning environment research. These include college and university classroom environment inventory, CUCEI, and other instruments like Science Laboratory Environment Inventory, SLEI, and so on. For this particular research, they are using WIC questionnaire. So what is WIC questionnaire involved? So let me show you this table that explains the scale description, and the sample items. The questionnaire includes 7 scales. The first one is student cohesiveness. So this scale measures the extent to which students know, help, and are supported of one another. Second scale is called teacher support. That is, the extent to which the teachers help, befriend, trust, and show interest in students. The sample item as is called the teacher consider my feelings. So it's go on for the rest of the scales. Let me show you the table 3, where the authors look at the existing and currently done research studies. So this table summarizes the major studies conducted using WIC questionnaire. This table shows who are the authors, in which country it was conducted, in what language, and what is the sample size, and what is the unique contribution to the literature. So this summary is very, very useful. I won't show you all of them, but I will go back to methods. So this section shows the method that they use. In the method section, where the authors explain choosing the sample, the characteristic of the sample, and data collection procedures, and how data was analyzed. So it's continue on this page. This is part of the method section. It's important to note that a piece of information is missing here. This is whether the participation in this data collection is voluntary or receive any informed consent. So all research should have written informed consent from the participant and human subjects ethics approval. They may have obtained the permission but not stated in the paper. Researchers administer this WIC questionnaire as well as the revised statistic anxiety rating scale and learning statistic analysis scale. So these two questionnaire has 16 items, and LSK scale has 8 items, and SEA's scale has 16 items. They responded on the 5-point scale ranging from not at all anxious to very anxious. Here, another missing information is question item from LSA and SEA. No example items are reported in the paper. So the results section show how the researcher tests the validity and reliability of the questionnaire used in this study. Specifically, the study looked at factorial validity, reliability, predictive validity, and discriminant validity. So this table shows, number 4 shows the scale means of reliability and predictive validity for a quick questionnaire. As you can see, there is a statistically significant multiple correlation between LSA and the set of 7 Wick scales. Inspection of the regression coefficient shows equity was the only learning environment scale that was significantly related to SLA scores, where scores of the other 6 Wick scales were mutually controlled. This relationship was negative, indicating that higher level of equity in the classroom was associated with a lower level of learning anxiety. For statistic evaluation anxiety, the multiple correlation for the set of all Wick scales was statistically significant, with teacher support being a significant independent predictor of SEA. The negative relationship between teacher support and the statistic evaluation anxiety suggests that higher level of teacher support were linked with less examination anxiety. Overall, relationship found between statistic anxiety and learning environment support Wick's predictive validity. The paper further analyzed the discriminant validity for ethnic differences. Ethnicity is defined here as Hispanic, White, and Asian. This is shown in this table 5. Table 5 shows interval results for ethnic differences. The study involved 3 ethnic groups, which is Hispanic, White, and Asian. Out of 7 Wick scales, ethnic differences were statistically significant for task orientation and equity. So to conclude this session, I want to find out what is the takeaway from this paper. This study shows that Wick is a robust questionnaire that can be used in various educational settings and classes. There is a significant relationship between learning environment factors and learning statistic anxiety and statistic evaluation anxiety. However, there are some limitations to this study. Some students interpret some items differently from the intended meaning of the researchers, because some of the students, their English is not their first language. And study only involved 375 students. Therefore, it is less generalizable. Linear regression methods were used. That means non-linear relationships may be missed. The future research should seek a larger sample. The selection of students should include non-statistic measures, and future studies should also use more sophisticated analysis such as multi-level modeling. And the references. So you can take a look at the reference list to see sources that authors use to support this research. So this list also provides you with additional resources for further study on the topic. I hope this approach will work well for your attempt in reviewing a paper, and thank you for your attention.